Can you guys hear me? Let me. Let's see. It says no audio, so let's have a look. Why is there no audio? Hold on a second. Let me just check. I thought I did a test run. Just bear with me 1 second, please. Let me just check. Okay, can you hear me now on audio? Hopefully you can hear me now. Give me a thumbs up if you can, or not thumbs up, but just let me know if you can. Okay, good to go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Shall I start from the top? Okay, let me start up again. And so, I was just saying that how Section 8 is the key. It's been the key for me anyway, in terms of, having a reliable income stream, allowing me to, survive 30, 35 years of real estate investing and so on. So there's a lot of misconceptions about this program. A lot of people, when they hear Section 8, all they hear about is, nonstop drama, chaos, and, mayhem, and so on. So the question is, are you tired of unreliable checks, constant tenant turnover, and the stress of wondering if your investments will pay off next month? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today, is why I do Section 8, some of the lessons learned that I've had, and really by mastering this system instead of just resisting it. In my opinion, investors can enjoy guaranteed payments, lower tenant turnover, and long-term tenants who bring predictability and in a very unpredictable market or environment that we're in. So this live stream today, we're going to explore the Section 8 Goldmine, a mindset and practice shifts. To do this successfully, you're really going to have a mindset shift. And you're going to be drawing from lessons from me and other investors who've tried this strategy and failed, and also tried this strategy and be successful. Okay, so we're going to talk about navigating the inspection process, the paperwork, and the tenant relations, while also uncovering some of the hidden advantages that many landlords never tap into. Okay, so ultimately, it's more than just Section 8. It's about developing systems, habits, and insights that allow you to grow a portfolio that weather economic storms, scales with predictability, and also secures your financial independence. Okay, so let's dig into this Goldmine that I'm talking about. And I'm a total convert to the Section 8 program. I'm excited by it. I think it's the greatest program ever created. I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And if you disagree with me, by all means, put your, put them in the chat box, and we'll get to them. We'll debate it if necessary. But I think it's the greatest thing. It's really allowed me to attain financial independence and have a very, very reliable income stream. Okay, so understanding the Section 8 mindset. So the question is, what if the biggest challenge to success in Section 8 investing isn't the tenants or the program, but the way you think about the program? Okay, it's not about, the biggest challenge is many times is people just mindset about the program. The first hurdle for most landlords is mental, psychological. Section 8 comes with a lot of negative stereotypes, tenants who don't care about the property, endless government red tape, endless headache, nonstop drama, The stigma leads to many landlords just dismissing participating in this program outright. When they hear the word Section 8, they just don't want to deal with it. Yet when you really look closer at investors who succeeded, a common thread emerges. As they embrace with a new mindset. Okay, instead of seeing Section 8 as a problem, they see it as an opportunity to build stability when others fear risk. Okay, investors who failed in the program typically resisted change. They viewed inspections as punishment, paperwork as unnecessary, bureaucracy as just unwielding, negativity, and also they see tenants as burdens. Okay, this resistance only reinforces the very problems that they feared, creating a really self-fulfilling cycle of frustration. By contrast, now, Investors who've thrived, okay, in this program, they've learned or they've leaned into this process. They studied the rules, they've taken time to study, they built rapport with the housing authority, they build a rapport with the the participants, the housing authority locally, and also set clear expectations with tenants. Their openness to learning transforms challenges and systems that worked in their favor. So really adopting the right mindset means treating Section 8 not just as a last resort, but really as a competitive advantage. If you can master this program, it's not that difficult to master. You'll find that there are really you can have a competitive advantage relative to your other landlords. So when market conditions tightens and market renters struggle to pay their rent, Section 8 landlords continue to collect consistent rent. I mean, a case in point would be when we had the COVID. In this area, I'm sure where you are, a lot of people lost their jobs. They had to work from home. They lost their, income stream, and a lot of people couldn't pay their rent. And if you're a landlord, you got a great tenant who can't pay their rent, then you have a very, very uncomfortable discussion. However, with Section 8, most of my rents were paid, and the bulk of the rent is covered by the housing authority, and I never missed any rent at all, and I didn't have much vacancies, and so I was able to survive, through that whole COVID thing, without a whole lot of headaches compared to a lot of other landlords, especially who had market renters. The market renters who lost their jobs, and you had these stories of rent strikes. What do they call it? They didn't want to pay their rents anyway, and I really have those issues. So it's not about luck; it's about shifting your perspective to recognize the value of guaranteed income and institutional support. So, what are some of the action items here? But I'm going to go into a lot of detail. I'm going to go into 6 parts today. What are the action items? Attend a local housing authority orientation session. They do have them wherever you are, or what they call a landlord briefing, to understand how the program is administered locally wherever you are. And you hear this information directly from the source, which is the housing authority, or the PHA. They call it the Public Housing Authority. You can want to connect with at least 2 experienced and seasoned landlords who participate in the program in your area, and ask about their lessons learned as well. Okay, so that's number 1. It's all about understanding the Section 8 mindset. Now we're going to start getting into it. The power of guaranteed rent. The power of guaranteed rent. And this is the key. When you've got guaranteed rent, it doesn't matter. The rent will come in as long as you adhere to program rules or certain requirements. Okay, so the question is, what would your investment strategy look like if rents came in on time every single month without fail? Okay, I'll repeat that again. What would your investing strategy look like if rent came in on time every single month without fail? To me, that allows you to plan. It allows you to, predict and make decisions, and put together a game plan a lot, better than if you were trying to figure out, okay, my tenant's going to come and pay this month. Am I going to receive my money or whatever it is? It's challenging, but guaranteed rent is the key. So for most landlords, inconsistent rent is the single greatest source of stress. Will I get my rent next month, 6 months? Is this tenant going to leave and I'm going to have to start over again? A tenant loss, okay? If a tenant loses their job, pays late, or stops paying altogether, that's a concern, okay? If that happens, then suddenly cash flow dries up, mortgage payments become stressful, and reserves get depleted. I don't need to explain all that, what that means. Section 8 eliminates much of that uncertainty. Once approved, the government portion of the rent is deposited directly into your account, and that usually covers most of the vast majority of the rents. This transforms cash flow from an unpredictable to reliable. Investors who embraced this aspect of Section 8 describes it as life-changing. I've been at pre-Section 8 and post-Section 8. And I'm telling you, it was life-changing. Not only does guaranteed rent stabilize income, but also makes it easier to plan, and you can save, and also you can reinvest. It's a lot easier when you know that your income stream is more or less guaranteed. Lenders look favorably on predictable cash flow. Whenever I'm refinancing, whenever I'm getting a loan, if I tell them I've got Section 8 and I can show them the contracts, it's viewed favorably, which helps landlords secure financing for additional property. It allows you to grow, okay? At the same time, landlords who failed often misunderstood the guarantee. They assumed that tenants had no responsibility, only to be caught off guard when tenant portions were neglected, i.e. there's a portion that's paid by the housing authority and there's a portion that's paid for by the tenant. People who don't know this program think that, oh, okay, well, I'm getting the money from the government, therefore I don't have to worry too much about the tenant's portion. No. Even if the tenant's portion is $20, $5, $100, I still require that they pay, and I'll chase them, if I have to do that. The secret is balance. Recognizing the government's reliability while ensuring tenant accountability. The tenants have to be held accountable. Okay, so smart investors set systems for collecting the tenant portion, explaining up front that non-payment could result in eviction and a voucher loss. Okay, I tell people, yeah, your portion may be $20 or $50, but you still are required to pay it. If you don't pay it, then I'm going to go through the eviction process, and if you get evicted, you are going to lose your voucher. And I say that up front. I hold them accountable. So when managed well, Section 8 provides a steady baseline of income that many market landlords really envy, and so on. So what's some of the action items here? Implement a clear payment system for the tenant's portion. Also use stable income history from Section 8 to strengthen your case with lenders when refinancing or expanding. Okay, number 2. Now let's go to number 3. Lessons from inspections. This is something that if you're going to participate in the Section 8 program, you are going to have to deal with inspections. They call it HQS, Housing Quality Standards. Your house must meet housing quality standards. These are standards which are set by HUD at the federal level and administered locally through inspectors. So the question is, are inspections a costly headache or a hidden safeguard for your investment? Are they a headache, something you have to endure, or can you turn it around and really be a vehicle whereby you can make sure that your property is being taken care of? One of the most common complaints about Section 8 is the inspection process. I get it. Landlords grumble about failed checks, delays in approvals, and quote unquote picky inspectors. Failed checks. I mean, if you fail the inspections and you don't take care of what you're supposed to do, your payments could be what they call abated, which means stopped. Okay, but when you analyze success stories, a different picture emerges. Investors who embraced inspections as a built-in property maintenance system found that their homes stayed in better shape because tenants are being held accountable as well, and tenants are staying happier because if there's something that's cited, you are responsible for fixing it. And and since somebody's going into your house every year, you can check on the condition of the house and do the necessary repairs and maintenance as needed. Landlords who failed often cut corners, hoping to kind of sneak by or ignore repair requests. These choices led to repeated failures, delayed rent payments, and even strained relations with tenants and also the housing authority. And many times where landlords don't do what they're supposed to do in terms of repairing the home, and as a result of that, they get a lot of problems with the housing authority and also with the tenant. Okay, so the successful landlords took the opposite approach. They maintained the properties above minimum standards, kept detailed checklists, and even scheduled pre-inspections to fix small issues before the official visits. Okay, so over time, landlords who mastered inspections noticed benefits beyond compliance. Their properties had fewer emergency repairs. Tenants appreciated well-maintained homes, and property values remained strong. Okay? Inspections, rather than being a burden, became a tool for asset preservation. Okay, so it's not so bad inspection. It is what it is. You're going to have to deal with it if you're going to participate in this program, but it doesn't have to be such a headache and something to fear. So what are some of the action items? Create a Section 8 inspection checklist and integrate into your quarterly maintenance reviews or 6 monthly reviews of your tenants. Hire contractors who understand Section 8 standards to avoid repeated failures, and conduct pre-inspections before official visits to eliminate costly delays. Okay, so that's 3 done. That's 3 to go. So again, if you got some questions, please put in the chat box, and I will get to you shortly, about 10 minutes. And any questions to do with real estate, anything questions to do with Section 8 program, anything to do with an issue with tenants, or whatever it is, deals that you're looking at, put them in the chat box. If you want to do a deeper dive, they can always schedule a one-on-one with me by going to my website, www.joeasimo.com, www.joeasimo.com, and you can sign up for a one-on-one by clicking the button. It says Ask Dr. Joe. Ask Dr. Joe. Okay, let's keep going. Number 4, tenant screening and selection. Tenant screening and selection. This is the key. This is the make or break. If you make a mistake here, you are finished. Okay, so what if your greatest risk isn't Section 8 itself, but choosing the wrong tenant? Believe me, this is the key. Okay, screening. So tenant quality determines the success or failure of every rental property, regardless of the program. It doesn't really matter if it's Section 8 or not, but your tenant, the quality of your tenant determines whether you're going to have headaches, nightmares, or it's going to be a joy. Many landlords who failed with Section 8 assumed the housing authority had already screened the tenants for them. This is not the case. This is a dangerous myth. Okay, the authority, the housing authority, all they check for is the eligibility to participate in the program, not for character or rental history. They don't look into that. That's your job. Okay, and so those who skipped screening ended up with high maintenance or irresponsible tenants who cause property damage and constant stress. By contrast, successful landlords treated Section 8 applicants just like market rate tenants. They ran background checks, verified employment, and contacted their previous landlords. You know me, I'm into tenant screening, and my screening is extremely, extremely tight. Many found that voucher tenants, grateful for stable housing, became long-term and reliable renters when carefully selected. That's true. I found that my tenants tend to stay longer. I'm averaging around 7.5 years per tenant. Okay, so obviously I've got tenants which are less than that, and some tenants which are longer than that. My longest is 28 years. I have 20, 15, 18, 12, 22-year tenants. It's very difficult to get market renters who stay 20, 15, 18 years consistently if the rents are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month. It's not going to happen. At some point, they're going to say, this is crazy. Let's go buy our own house. Whereas, in the Section 8 program, most of the tenants will not be able to buy a house. And so you tend to have a lot more longer-term tenants, especially if you have a nice house in a nice area and you're a good landlord. So, through the Section 8 program, I've avoided costly turnover. Costly turnovers are extremely expensive, and you can build lasting relationships, that pay dividends for years in terms of, your cost reduction and therefore your profits. So proper screening ensures that landlords benefit from the best of both worlds: stable government-backed rent and responsible tenants who take care of the property. That's it. That's the best of both worlds. You got a guaranteed income stream, and also you have stable tenants, or you got good tenants who are taking care of your property and they want to stay a long time. Without it, the risk of ugly increasingly can be really bad. If you don't do screening correctly, if you don't choose the tenants wisely, it could be horrible. Okay, so what's some of the action items? Apply the same rigorous screening standards to Section 8 applicants as you do with market tenants. Okay, you don't make it any higher, don't make it any lower. Use the same thing. Look for long-term stability indicators such as family issues or family ties with the area, work history, and past rental performance. Use detailed leases and clear onboarding processes to set tenant expectations up front. Okay, number 5, almost there. Again, if you got some questions, put in the chat box. I'll get to you in about 5 minutes. Navigating the paperwork. Is the paperwork really an obstacle or simply another system you can master? Is the paperwork really an obstacle or is it simply another system that you can master? So for many landlords, paperwork is the biggest deterrent to joining Section 8. It's forms, delays. You got this you got to do, you got hoops you got to jump through, and so on. The delays and the perceived bureaucracy feel overwhelming, but successful investors see paperwork differently. I see paperwork differently. We view this as part of doing business. Okay, no different than mortgages, leases, taxes, and so on. Once the system is in place, the process becomes routine and manageable. It is. Those who struggled with the paperwork lacked structure. They submitted incomplete documents, they missed deadlines, or failed to follow up with a housing authority. This can create unnecessary delays and lost income. On the other hand, successful landlords like you and I built systems, standardized checklists, digital filing systems, and even assistants or property managers dedicated to handling housing authority paperwork. Okay, so when approached with organization, consistency, and paperwork shifts from being a burden to being a minor step, it's okay. It's not that bad once you figure it out. It doesn't take much to figure it out, believe me. So what are some of the action items here? Develop a standardized Section 8 checklist for your paperwork to avoid missteps. Maintain organized digital files for every property to streamline renewals and recertifications, and delegate paperwork to trained assistants or managers when scaling your portfolio. And then finally, number 6, building relationships with housing authorities. So the question is, what if your success in Section 8 depends less on systems and more on people? Many landlords treat housing authorities as adversaries. They're the evil empire. Okay, assuming the staff exists just to make their life harder and hell. Now, this mindset leads to slow responses, delayed approvals, and frustration. I get it. Successful investors, however, realize that strong relationships with housing authority staff are really the key difference between smooth operations and problems. By treating staff with respect, okay, responding promptly to requests, and also approaching interactions with professionalism, we build trust. And inspectors answered their calls, people, responded to their emails, and their situations move faster through the system. Okay, it can happen. Meanwhile, landlords who ignored relationship building often found themselves at the bottom of the priority list. They'll get to you when they feel like it, struggling to get answers and having their emails not returned, getting their calls not returned, and so on. So relationships does matter. It does matter. Just as in every area of real estate, who you know and how you treat people influences the results that you get. I'll just say it again. Who you know and how you treat people influences the results you get. That's just a life lesson here. It's not just Section 8, it's life. How you treat people makes a big difference on how they treat you. Section 8 is no different. So what's the action items here? Make a point of introducing yourself to key housing authority staff and inspectors. Respond to requests from agency promptly and professionally, and attend landlord workshops or networking events hosted by the housing authorities to kind of strengthen your presence within the organization. So that, my friend, is it. I'm going to go to a conclusion. So the question is, could the very strategy most landlords avoid be the one that secures your financial freedom? I think it could be. The Section 8 Goldmine isn't about quick wins. It's about long-term stability, consistency, and scalable success. Okay, long-term stability, consistency, and scalable success. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. If you're going to create financial independence through real estate investing over the long term, buy and hold, it does take time. It doesn't happen overnight. By shifting your mindset embracing guaranteed rent, mastering inspection, selecting tenants wisely, streamlining paperwork, and building strong relationships with housing authority staff, you can create a portfolio that weathers market storms and thrives in any economy. I've been through must have at least 8 real estate life cycles, up and down, downturns. I've been through a lot of these things, and believe me, Section 8 is the main reason why I was able to survive. That guaranteed income, that guaranteed rent allowed me to, withstand some of these downturns. The stories of successful investors reveal a clear truth. Section 8 works when you work it. Okay, those who resist or rely on myths struggle with frustrations. Those who learn, adapt, and master the program build recession-resistant wealth. So for new investors, Section 8 offers a structured path to predictable income. For seasoned investors, portfolio stability and scalability is what Section 8 can have. So for everyone in between, it's a proven system that when mastered turns challenges into advantages. If you're ready to stop struggling with late rent, frequent vacancies, and uncertainty, it's time to uncover the goldmine associated with Section 8. Okay, so Section 8 isn't just rental strategy, in my opinion. It's the key to building a resilient and prosperous real estate business. Okay, so I guess that's it for today. So let's, if you got some questions, please put in the chat box, and I'll get to them in about a couple of minutes. If you want to shoot me an email, you can shoot me an email at my email address. It's asamoah@comcast.net. Joe Asamoah. Joe at joeasamoah.com. Joe at joeasamoah.com. That's my email. If you want to shoot me an email. If you want to book a one-on-one, you can go to my website, joeasamoah.com. www.joeasamoah.com, and you can book a one-on-one with me. Just press the link for Ask Dr. Joe. So I think that pretty much covers the education part of it. So let's go to the if you got any questions, and okay, so I apologize earlier on where the audio wasn't on. I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, that sounds like we fixed it now. Okay, let's see, what questions do we have? We got Dao2 from Phoenix. Okay, Nestor's got a few questions. Let's have a look. Let's see what we got on Instagram as well. Got some questions on Instagram. So it looks like, yeah, everyone's good. So let's go to some questions. Nestor, let's see what you have. Hi, Nestor. Nestor Nation. Hey, Hey, Dr. Joe, you always have great content and good topics. How do you come up with your topics every Wednesday? Secret. Yeah, it's always challenging to come up with some good topics, but we have a little system here. I've got some assistants who, kind of scan the internet, scan forums, and come up with some suggestions on what I should talk about. So, okay, keep going. I'm getting a lot of calls for my Section 8 rental. However, some of them are not showing up to their appointments. I know they are looking at other properties besides mine. What do I do? Okay, good. I can talk about that. I live in New York and my rental is located in Illinois. Okay, so you're an out of state. I don't live in the same state where my rental is located. Okay. When they call, it's hard to show them the property ASAP. Do I get a property manager? Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's a scenario with Nestor. He has a property in Illinois and he lives in New York. So he's an out-of-town investor. So obviously it sounds like he's put his ad in various online platforms and he's getting people to respond. So far, so good. However, they're not showing up for the appointments. I'm not sure how you're doing it. If you are traveling from New York to Illinois to show your property, or whether you have somebody locally who's showing it on your behalf. I'm not sure how you're doing that one. Okay, this is what I do. Probably best if I talk about what I do, and then I'll probably answer your question. you're not the only landlord in town in Illinois who has a rental property. And we are all looking for the same tenant. I call these tenants tier one tenants. These are tenants who pay their rent on time, take care of the property, pleasant to deal with, and hopefully going to stay a long time. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. And I think that's what you're looking for, Nesta. You're not looking for the tenant that just got evicted yesterday. You're not looking for the tenant who just trashed their house on the way out. You're not looking for the tenant who doesn't pay their landlord. I don't think that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a good quality tier one tenant, I call them. Okay, so is everybody else. So the question then becomes, why should this tier one tenant be interested in your house? Okay, because other landlords are also vying for them. And so the way I see things is that I try to differentiate myself from other landlords. I know I've got competition, and therefore, how do I differentiate myself from my competition, my other landlords who are also looking for these tenants? Hopefully that makes sense. So I start off with my property and make sure that it's well, first of all, the location of the property is important, and then also the property itself. You know, what's it like? What's the condition of it? And also the landlord. They're looking at you. What kind of landlord are you? They are tired of slumlords. They're looking for a decent landlord who's going to take care of the house in a decent area, and it's just going to be a nice person. That's what they're looking for. And so I try to position myself as somebody that meets all that criteria. Okay, I tend to buy in properties in areas where they want to live. My tier one tenants want to live, and they don't want to live in, you know, Beverly Hills. I mean, I'm sure they do, but they know they're not going to live in Beverly Hills and all these sort of A class neighborhoods. No, they just don't want to live in a bad area. Okay, where the kids are not safe, where they feel like, you know, they're going to get robbed or shot at or, you know, burgled. I mean, you know, if you got properties in those areas, that's okay. People will rent there. But the tier one tenants, at some point, they're going to say, I don't want to deal with this. I want to be in a better area. So, so the location that you buy is very, very important. And so let's assume that your property in Illinois is in a decent area, Nesta. Then the next question becomes, okay, you place your ad in, and you know, and then people call. Now, if you're out of town and you're in New York and you advertise on, let's say, Monday, and people call you on Monday and you're not going to be in town until Thursday or Friday, they may say, okay, I'll come on Thursday and Friday, but they're going to call me as well. And I'm going to be in town and I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there tonight, Monday evening at 6 o'clock. So if they are available, they're going to see my house tonight. They're not going to wait till Thursday or Friday to see your house, because by Thursday or Friday, hopefully I would have poached them, and therefore you wouldn't even have a chance to see them, and so on. So all I'm saying, Nesta, is that you have to be aggressive. You know, when you're trying to select these tenants, you've got to be able to show your house as soon as possible. You don't want to wait until it's convenient for you. You got to make it convenient for them. So I allocate a whole week to show my house at 6 o'clock. So if someone calls me on Monday, hey, when can I see the house? Okay, well, it's available to see it tonight at 6 o'clock. They call me on Tuesday, hey, when can I see it? Tuesday, I'll be there tonight at 6 o'clock. You know, so on. So the idea is I strike while the iron is hot. And so I get a chance to see these folks before you do, if only you schedule your inspections, or not your showings once a week or whatever. Again, I'm not criticizing you, Nesta, at all. I'm just saying that we're all in the business of trying to attract quality tenants, and you have competition, and therefore you have to accept that, and you have to act accordingly. So, you know, that's just showing the house and so on. So what I would do, Nesta, in your situation, if you can, if you're not local, you may want to get somebody local who can show it on your behalf, that you trust, if you can. I'm not a great fan of property management companies. I just haven't had any luck with them. I just do all mine myself, but it may not be practical for you or realistic for you. So there may be some value in having a local property manager, but screen thoroughly, screen well, because I just haven't had any success with property managers. I haven't found any of them that's any good. They look out for their interests, and their interests may not always be the same as your interests. Sometimes they're just looking to put somebody in there so that way they can get their commission, and that person may not be thoroughly vetted and so on. So just proceed with caution. What you may want to do, Nestor, if you want to, I guess purely up to you. I could spend a whole hour talking about this, and we may want to do a one-on-one. Just book a one-on-one with me, and then I can sort of give you some ideas and share with you what I would do, to hopefully help you in your situation in terms of increasing the number of, reducing the number of no-shows, people who say they're going to come but don't show up, and also to position your product, your house, in such a way that hopefully you'll attract the kind of tier 1 tenants I think you're looking for. Maybe worthwhile to book a one-on-one with me where I can do a deeper dive. Hopefully that's a good start, Nestor. But by all means, ask another question. I'll keep going. But I think we probably need to do a deep dive one-on-one where I can sort of walk you through what I would do if I was in your shoes. Okay, let's keep going. V. Hodges, have you heard anything about Section 8 asking current landlords to reduce their rent amount when an annual renewal time for their tenant comes up? Or is this just a rumor? Okay. Have you heard anything about Section 8? Well, not in my area where I am. I've never heard that. They're not asking landlords to reduce their rents. But I do know is that the Section 8, HUD is going to get their budget cut. That's a given, given the cuts that's going on the federal level. So they're going to get their budgets cut. And those cuts are going to be, it's going to trickle down to the local areas. And so I envision that, there's going to be some cuts in the budget for the Section 8 program. So what does that mean? It means that, there's less money to go around. So the housing authorities locally, the ones that administer the program, wherever you are going to have to make some tough choices. How do we operate in this new environment where there's less money? Now, I've been through this several times before, so I don't know. No one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know, but all I can go by is experience. And I've been down this path before, probably not as severe as this one, but I've been down paths where HUD budgets were cut. And typically, they like to save money in different ways. One would be not approving rent increases. So if you haven't got a rent increase, you're not going to get one. And usually the fiscal year kicks off in October the 1st. So if you don't, now's the time, to apply for rent increase if you're going to get one. Otherwise, you may not get one after October the 1st. So that's one way of saving money. Another way would be to reduce staffing. They may cut staff at the housing authorities. What does that mean? It means that now, instead of people responding or not responding to your inquiries, it's going to take even longer because there's fewer people doing the same amount of work. So relationships become really, really important now. Who you know down there becomes very, very important in a new environment where there's fewer staff to do the same amount of work. That could happen. They may, I haven't heard this before, but they may ask landlords to reduce their rents. But I haven't experienced that one, so I don't know. I've never had that before. So they will be doing some cuts, and the cuts will be, a variety at the local level. So, put on your seatbelts. But it's okay. I mean, this too shall pass. And, who knows? But the bottom line is this. We're dealing with the most vulnerable people in society, which are women and children, primarily children, let's just say. And so I don't know if maybe they do. I don't know if the government as a public policy, is willing to throw children on the streets, you know, and so on. Maybe that is public policy. I don't know, but I don't think so. So this program, I don't think is going to get eliminated, but it will be cut, and there will be some savings that will have to be made. So it's gonna, but you know, but the fundamentals don't change. There is a need for quality housing. Okay. Oh, another thing that they did last time is that they restricted people moving. So unless it was an emergency, tenants couldn't move. So if you have a terrible tenant, you're stuck with them. And you know, because whenever there's a new a tenant leaves, there's a lot of paperwork that has to be done at the housing authority. So they try to reduce that paperwork by limiting people leaving from one house to another house. So lots of things that can happen, but the fundamentals don't change. There's a need for quality housing, quality areas, and quality landlords. That is not going to change. There are more people waiting to go on this Section 8 program than there are vouchers out there. That's not going to change. And there's an affordable housing crisis in most cities in the United States. That's not going to change. I don't think they're going to want to throw out a whole lot of children on the streets and deal with the consequences of that. Maybe they do. I don't think so as a public policy, because it costs more, obviously, to deal with the social consequences of having, you know, women and children on the streets, you know, homeless, than it is to pay you, you know, a stipend for a voucher. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It's cheaper to pay you $2,000, $3,000 than to have a family of 5 or 6 homeless. Anyway, we'll see. Good evening, Aman. Hope you're doing well. So again, if you got some questions, please put in the chat box. I'm going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes. Thank you for this content. Could you please walk me through the process of lease renewal for Section 8? Bo Obadasa. Okay. Hey, Bo. Hope I didn't, you know, conjure up your destroy your name. So thank you for this content. Could you please walk me through the process of lease renewal for Section 8? Okay, lease renewal. So what Bo is saying is that you have a tenant who stayed with you. They have a contract. It's called a HAP contract. At the end of typically it's a 1-year contract. You know, there's at least in this area, it goes to month to month. So we don't, you know, there's no need for a lease renewal because it differs from a 1-year contract to a month to month. So that's where we are in the Washington, D.C. area. That's what my leases are. And so at the end of the 1 year, it automatically reverts to month to month. Now, if you're in a place whereby you have to get a new lease, then I'm assuming that you're going to have to contact the housing authority at some point, or contact the tenant at some point and invite them to a new lease. Okay. So what you're going to do, you're going to contact the tenant and say, hey, the year is coming up. What do you want to do? Do you want to stay or do you want to go? Assuming that they want to stay, then if you want to increase your rents, then you want to request a rent increase from the housing authority. So you're going to put your paperwork to the housing authority requesting a rent increase, and they will do their analysis, their research, and they'll either approve or deny your rent increase, or they may, you know, counter your requests. So if you want $200 more, they may say, well, you know, according to the fair market rents around here, you only qualify for 150. So are you okay with 150? And you can say yes or no. So if you say yes, then they will increase your rent by 150. You tell the tenant that the rent's going to go up, and they will determine out of that 150, how much of that is paid for by the tenant and how much of that is paid by the housing authority. Let's just say that they decide we'll pay $100 and the tenant's portion goes up by $50. Once they do that, then you can then, you know, update your lease and then give them a new lease based on the new terms. Okay. So every so often, the tenant has to do what we call recertification, which is they have to provide the housing authority with their documentation about their income and also their family size. So they have to turn in paperwork, go to the housing authority, and provide them with all the information that they request to confirm that they still are eligible for the program. So that's usually once a year or once every 2 years, depending on the jurisdiction that you're in. In Washington, D.C., it's every 2 years, but there are some places where it's every year. So that has called recertify. If they fail to recertify, then they can get terminated from the program. If they get terminated from the program, then the housing authority's portion stops. And so the tenant is now responsible for the entire rent. So that's, I don't know if that's answered your question, Bo, regarding the lease renewal process. If it is, let me know. If it's not, then please put another question in there and I'll try and get to them. Let me go down to Instagram. Taylor Lopez. He or she is saying, do you have a tool to analyze if you have a property is a good deal to purchase? There's quite a few programs out there. I know Bigger Pockets has some. There's some online calculators. There are, spreadsheets out there. There's some online AI tools out there. So I use, there's dealcheck.io, dealcheck.io. That's one I've used. I know you can put some prompts into ChatGPT. You can do that. There's quite a few tools out there, but just analyzing is part one. There's still issues in terms of making sure you screen your tenants correctly and you manage the relationship with your tenants. People don't stay 5, 10, 15, 20 years, tenants don't anyway, unless they're happy. And which means that there's responsibilities on your part as a landlord to make sure that they stay. Okay, another question on Instagram. Do you have a tool to, okay, I've just answered that question. You're looking to purchase, see what a good offer is. Okay, so again, I've used, there's quite a few tools out here. Can you apply, this is on Obey Fede, can you apply for a rent increase midway through the lease term? Depending on your jurisdiction, some jurisdictions you can only do it once a year, and that's when it's time for renewal. Others, you can request a rent increase whenever you want it, and usually once a year. Some may allow you to have a rent increase, closer than 1 year. So it's going to depend on your jurisdiction. I know the first time around, if it's a new tenant, there's usually a contract. It's called a HAP contract, and that's usually for 1 year. So you can't, for the first year anyway, request a rent increase, before that 1 year term, expires or ends. Okay, I think it's 7:55 my time. I think I'll wrap it up for today. So I hope today was a good session. I enjoyed it. As usual, if you got any questions, you can email me, joe@joeasimo.com, joe@joeasimo.com. I'm going to be doing this Wealth Wednesday next Wednesday, a different topic. And if you want to book a one-on-one with me, you can always go to my website, www.joeasimo.com, www.joeasimo.com. You can book a one-on-one. We can do a deep dive into a subject of your choosing. Okay, my friends, I hope you have yourself a wonderful rest of the evening, and looking forward to, I think I've got all the questions. Let's have a look. Any more questions? Okay, let's have a look. What's this question here? Who's asking this question? Let's have a look. This one. Okay, anything? Okay, I think that's about it. Okay, that's it. So I'll see you guys next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye for now.